There are questions all of the time about the liturgical colors and what do they correspond with, and then also the vestments that we wear, where do they come from? And this might be a good video to share with kids if you have a family and you have younger children, because quite often we will do this with children in the second grade too, just to help to explain what the vestments are, where they come from, and what the different liturgical vestments are. So we're going to start with purple, because the beginning of the liturgical season is Advent. It's that time of preparation for the celebration of Christmas, and it is that time when we are preparing to, or remembering the preparation for the coming of Christ, but also we are preparing for the coming of end times. And so Advent looks at those two different comings, and purple is used because it was a penitential color. And so one of the things that Advent does in preparation for Christmas is we do penance, and we, not in the same sense as we do for Lent, but we also do acts of charity and so on in preparation for the celebration of Christmas. So obviously we also use this color during Lent, and that is a penitential season, and so to mark the penitential season, purple is used. So white is used for the season of Christmas and Easter, the celebrations of saints, of the Blessed Virgin Mary. It's usually white or gold. In fact, this particular chasuble has some gold and white in it. So sometimes there are pictures of a saint or of the Blessed Virgin Mary along with the white garment. But it is to signify the glory that we give to God for those great saving events in the life of Christ, or the life of Mary, and the life of the church. Red, because it is the same color as blood, and because blood was shed by martyrs, and actually the word martyr means witness, and so it's a sign of the witness that people gave for the faith as they were killed believing in it. And this particular garment is used therefore for saints' days who are martyrs, but it's also associated with the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit has sent forth the disciples to give witness to Jesus Christ, and so the word martyr itself means witness. They give witness by shedding of their blood, but also the Holy Spirit impels us towards that witness. So we use this particular garment on Pentecost or on other feasts of the Holy Spirit. And then finally, what we see most of the time is the color green, which is used for ordinary time. This is one of the reasons why when people come up to me and they say, "Oh, you're wearing Michigan State colors," and I say yes, because it's a very ordinary college. But the green stole is just a sign of ordinary time. And ordinary time begins in the transition between spring and summer, and so the green grass is coming forth, and the greenery on the trees is coming forth too. And so in a way it kind of picks up on that sense of the regular summertime and the regular time that we are involved in, our ordinary time. Now, people also will ask about where these originate from, and these vestments. And so there's various garments that the priest wears. There is first a garment on the inside called an alb. And if we first of all have to understand that a lot of the clothing that we have in the liturgy itself was adapted from regular Greco-Roman clothing, so the clothing of Greeks and Romans. And so this would have been an outer kind of garment that would have been worn over inner garments, and it was a regular street type of garment that a person would wear. Now, for some people who were of the nobility or who were of the richer classes, it could be embroidered in various ways. And so basically the priest would take on that alb as a garment that would usually be worn by anybody at that time. But over that would have been placed the chasuble, and this is the chasuble. The chasuble comes from a word that means little house, or kazula means little house. And so it would have been a covering over the outer garment, kind of like a cape. So if a person needed an overcoat besides the little garment that they were wearing, then they would wear a cape-like or vestment, or called a chasuble or a kausula, a little house, something that they could put over themselves. The stole that is associated with the chasuble can either be worn on the inside or it can be worn on the outside. And, but at any rate, it was something that gives reference back to the Jewish rabbis who would wear something like a stole, especially as they were involved in their teaching or involved in their preaching in the synagogue and so on. But it was also something in Roman times that a judge would wear. And so if you were to go into the place where a judge would be overseeing a dispute, then he would be wearing something like this, a stole. By the way, I forgot to mention that with the alb also looked very much like what a new Christian would wear after they were baptized. So it's also a reminder to the priest that every time that he celebrates Mass, it's connected to the gift of his baptism, and it's by virtue of his baptism that now he's been called in a new way to serve the church community, all the baptized. So it's a kind of reference to that as well. So hopefully this has been helpful to you as parents and children and anyone who is tuning in. It gives a little bit background behind the colors and also the vestments that the priest would wear.